fifth grade, here's our second lesson for the week. I will need to have both of these math lessons completed and turned in by the 12th, by the Friday of this week. So that way I can get everything all graded, and then you will be free once you get all your work done. Remember, you have to work all week this week. Every day you have to get on. You have to do those programs that are assigned to you, and then you also need to complete the other work that is in your Google Classroom. And then starting the 13th through the 21st, you will be on winter break, and then we'll start back up again on the 22nd. But please make sure this week that you are working hard and you're getting everything done, so that way you can be completely caught up, so you don't have anything hanging over your head and you don't have me bugging you about finishing your work and getting your work in. Okay? So we are going to be finishing up Module 6. We're on Module 6, Lesson 4. And your next packet, like I said, is going to be in the office, so you'll be able to pick it up, but you won't need it necessarily until the 22nd. But it will be there, so that way you can get it this week, so you'll have it, so you can hit the floor, hit the door running on the 22nd and get work done. All right, so we are going to be rewriting fractions with a common denominator. So you'll be able to generate equivalent fractions for given fractions using a common denominator. TV show hosts Ben and Isa are preparing small pieces of French toast from slices of bread. Ben cuts his slice into 2 equal sections. Isa cuts her slice into 3 equal sections. All of the sections were supposed to be cut into the same sized pieces. Draw a visual model to show what Ben and Isa should do to correct the sizes of their sections of French toast. So Ben cuts his slice into 2 equal sections. So Ben, his slice of French toast was just cut in half, right? He had 2 pieces. Isa cuts hers into 3 equal pieces. So Ben's were in halves, Isa's were in thirds. So how could they fix this so they have the same size pieces? Well, if we look at our denominators, we have a 1/2 and we have a 1/3. So I can take and multiply each fraction by the opposite denominator. Oh my goodness, you can't see that. I apologize. Now you can see that. So each one, they have different denominators. So if I take 1/2 and I multiply it by 3 over 3, because you always have to multiply the fraction by the top and the bottom, because this essentially equals 1 whole. So you're going to get 3/6. And then you're going to multiply 1/3 by the opposite denominator, so 2 over 2, which will give you 2/6. So if we instead, they now take the bread that they cut. I know I just made it a little longer and I shouldn't have. And they are both in sixths, right? So instead of halves, we're going to have sixths. And instead of thirds, we'll have sixths. Now they have both of their pieces into the same size, both of their slices into the same size pieces, which is now 1/6. So we have to find something that the denominators have in common, so that way we can multiply the denominator and the numerator by the same number to get a common denominator. Okay? The circle represents all the people who watch the morning show. What equivalent fractions can you write to represent the different ways people watch the morning show? So we've got 2/5, 1/2, and 1/10. So we're going to list all the non-zero multiples of 2, 5, and 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I'm just going to list the first 5 multiples. Now I want to look and see What number, is there any number that 2, 5, and 10 all have in common? Well, when I look, I can see that 2, 5, and 10 all have a 10 in common. That would be the least common multiple of 2, 5, and 10. So that means we can change our fractions so that they are equivalent fractions with a 10 as our denominator. So that means, how would I make this with a 10 as my denominator? Well, I would need to multiply the 2 by a 5. So that means I need to multiply the top and the bottom by 5/5. 1/2 times 5/5 equals 5/10. So 1/2 is equivalent to 5/10. 2/5 to change to tenths, I need to multiply my 5 times a 2. So that means I multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. So 2/5 is equivalent to 4/10. And then 1/10 we don't need to change. It's just going to stay 1/10. So we need to make sure that our fractions are equivalent in order to add or subtract them. Okay? So a numerical expression using equivalent fractions that models all the people who watch the morning show, we would do 5/10 plus 4/10 plus 1/10. Because you cannot add these together because they have different denominators. You need to find a common denominator, change them to equivalent fractions, then you can add them together. Okay? So let's practice this. Trina makes decorations using wire. She has one piece of wire that is 1/6 foot and another piece that is 3/4 foot. What equivalent fraction represents the amounts of wire that Trina has? So the first thing we have to do is find the product of the denominators of each fraction. So we have 1/6 and 3/4. So we need to find a number that's related to these two common multiples. Well, if we multiply 4 times 6, that would be 24 is what's related, right? That's a multiple of 4 and 6. So the equivalent fractions we can come up with that we could write, so 3/4 would be equivalent to, I would multiply the top and the bottom by 6. So 3/4, 3 times 6 is 18. 4 times 6 is 24. And then 1/6. So we're going to multiply 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 6 is 24. So we have 18/24 and 4/24. So then we're going to add 18/24 plus 4/24. 18 plus 4, 22/24. So that's how much wire she has, is 22/24. Alrighty. Number 1. Ava, Kate, and Jen bring all the food to a picnic. Ava brings 3/4. Kate brings 1/6, and Jen brings 1/12. Write a numerical expression using equivalent fractions with a common denominator to model the amounts of food that they bring to the picnic. So we have Ava with 3/4, so we have a 4, we have a 6, then we have a 12, and we need to see what we can find that they have in common. So we've got 4, we're going to list the multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I'll just go up to 5. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. So what do they have in common? We can see that they have a 12 in common. So our common denominator will be 12. So 3/4 we need to multiply by 3/3. So that's 9/12. 1/6 we need to multiply it by 2 over 2, which is 2/12. And then 1/12 can be the same. So our numerical expression would be 9/12 plus 2/12 plus 1/12. And that shows us that that's how much, because they were the ones that brought all the food to the picnic. All right, find a common denominator, then use the common denominator to write equivalent fractions. So we have 4 and we have 8. So the denominator they would both have in common would be 8, right? Because if I'm counting by 4s, my second number is 8. So 3/4, you would multiply 2 over 2, which gives you 6/8. So we'd have 6/8 and 1/8 for our equivalent fractions. All right, common denominators for 4 and 6. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. They have a 12 in common. I'll highlight these. These had an 8 in common. So their common denominator is a 12. So we could do 1/4 times 3 over 3 equals 3/12. And then 5/6 times 2 over 2 equals 10/12. So our equivalent fractions are 3/12 and 10/12. Okay. Our next problem. The morning show has the morning show has 1/5 hour weather section and a 1/2 hour news section. How can you determine the amount of time spent on weather and news without using drawings? Well, we have 1/5 and we have 1/2. So if I want to find common denominators, so I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm just going to go up 5 just to see. I could go up more, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's the first number that we have in common is a 10. So 1/5 times 2 over 2 equals 2/10. And 1/2 times 5 over 5 equals 5/10. So now they can be added, right? 2/10 plus 5/10 equals 7/10 of the broadcast is weather and news. Okay? Use a common denominator to write equivalent fractions. So we've got 2 and 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There we go. So our common denominator would be 12. So I don't need to change anything with my 5/12. That can stay the same. 1/2, we're going to multiply by 6 over 6, which equals 6/12. Okay, equivalent fractions. We have 3 and we have 6. 3, 6. We can stop there. We don't have to go any further. So I don't need to change anything with my 1/6. But my 2/3, I'm going to multiply by 2 over 2. And that's going to give me 4/6. So I have 2/3 and 3/8. This one might be tricky, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. I'm going to go a little bigger because knowing my multiplication facts, 8, 16, I am going to have to go even bigger than that, 24. 24. There's our common denominator, 24. So we have to do something with both of them. So 2/3 times 8 over 8 equals 16/24. And 3/8 times 3 over 3 equals 9/24. All right, a common denominator for 4 and 5. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Ooh, I think that's going to be my one. 5, 10, 15, 20. There we go. 20 is my common denominator. So 1/4 times 5 over 5 equals 5/20. 3/5 times 4 over 4 equals 12/20. So there are my equivalent fractions. I probably should have circled them so you knew what my equivalent fractions were, because I've got my multiplication in there. Alrighty, 3/4, 1/6. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 6, 12. Oh, I guess I could have stopped at the 12, right? 12 and 12. 3/4 times 3 over 3 equals 9/12. That's one of our equivalent fractions. 1/6 times 2 over 2 equals 2/12, our other equivalent fraction. 2/3 and 3/5. So we've got 3 and we've got 5. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm thinking that's it. 5, 10, 15. Makes sense, right? Because we're going to have to do 3 times 5 for this one. So 2/3 times 5 over 5 equals 10/15. And 3/5 times 3 over 3 equals 9/15. Okay? And our last question. Temperature is one factor that determines the weather in Taverny, Florida. The average monthly high temperature, degrees Fahrenheit, is in the 70s for 1/3 of the year, in the 80s for 1/2 of the year, and in the 90s for 1/6 of the year. Write a numerical expression using equivalent fractions with a common denominator to model the part of the year with these average temperatures. So we've got 1/3, 1/2, 1/6. So we need to find a common denominator with 2, 3, and 6. So 2, 4, 6, 3, 6, 9, and then I don't even need to go further with the 6, right? So we know that 6 is our common denominator. So 1/3 times 2 over 2 equals 2/6. 1/2 times 3 over 3 equals 3/6. And then our 1/6 we don't need to change. So 2/6 plus 3/6 plus 1/6 would be our problem. So that's our numerical expression. Alrighty. So I need you to do the last black and white sheet for this module for set 6.4. Yep, 6.4. So you're going to do the front and the back of 6.4, and then I'm just looking to make sure everything looks good. And then you will return it to me at school so that I can grade it. Please make sure I have all of your work from that you've done so far, everything, by the 12th. All right, and I will see you soon. Bye.